Hi, welcome to the Invisible Matters show. I'm Debrah Martin, and I'm so excited to be here today. I've worked really hard. I'm nervous, I'm anxious, but I'm ready to roll. This is a show that will be a reminder to all viewers and listeners that we all have strengths and weaknesses, and that we should be intentionally aware that there are some conditions that are not easily seen by the human eye, but they absolutely do exist. And for my first episode, I've asked Mafuza to join me today as we're going to just have a conversation to help everyone hear more about what the subject matter will be all about. And just in case you're thinking, I don't think this is for me, I don't have any special needs, this is a show about everyone because we all got something if we keep it real, and we all can benefit from learning about other people and growing personally.
And really, today, our host is going to give us a little bit more information about the genesis of this podcast and a little bit more about herself, just so you can understand a little bit more about kind of where her passion comes from. And all right, ready to go. So,
Okay.
what led you to the point of creating a podcast or something that's kind of livable through media?
So, over my career as a school psychologist, and then I retired and became an educational advocate, consultant, I've learned that I'm sitting in meetings that last many hours, and parents have just told me that I have a wealth of knowledge and information. And I thought about how could I impact more people. And so that's what led me to do the podcast.
It is a good way to have a little bit more reach, and it also kind of immortalizes a lot of the work that you do because people can have access to that. So I think you're right on.
Yes, yes. I want something to leave here when I'm
Yeah.
gone.
No, absolutely. And invisible matters. So it's invisible, but with after the S, there's it's an A,
Mhm.
and it's a capital A.
Mhm.
Talk to me about that, the name, and where that came from.
So, lots of thinking went into what to call this idea because it is so abstract, and it's hard to put a label on things that you can't see.
Mm.
But most of the really important things in life are not easily viewed. And so that's where the invisible part comes from. Um, did a little twist on the name with the spelling because, of course, able is very important. We all have abilities, we all have unique abilities. And I really, really want to make sure that we talk about the matters that aren't easily viewed, that so many people struggle with internally, that just other people aren't aware of. It impacts coworkers, people in places of worship, children in schools. And so we'll talk about all areas, but those invisible matters are very important.
Well, that's exciting because I do think it, you know, in conversations that we've had about knowing that there are invisible things that impact everyone helps us to be a lot kinder and
Hmm.
more understanding to each other. So that's it's really exciting that you're able to bring that into a show that will really highlight those things to make us a little bit more understanding. So these are some questions about you. Share
Hmm.
your journey that led into where you are to this moment.
My journey. So I always felt like I had a good connection with children, and I guess through my grade school years, I always thought I would be a teacher, and it really wasn't until my final year in undergrad that a friend of mine mentioned school psychology, something that I'd never even heard of. And I might add that many people aren't aware that there is access to a school psychologist. I don't care what state you live in this country, what city. So just want to throw that out there. But I went to graduate school and worked in several different school systems. And just sitting on the side of the table working for the school team, I began to really try to step into the shoes of parents to really experience what they were feeling. And so when I retired, I decided I wanted to sit on the other side of the table and hopefully share my knowledge about the federal laws, but also provide a voice, if you will, for some families who aren't able to quote the law or really express
Mhm.
what they want, to happen for their child. And so, again, as an educational advocate, I'm just at a point where I want to reach more families, and so that's what led me here.
What message do you want your listeners to get out of this show?
I want a couple of things. For one, I really just want people to be more aware and sensitive about the needs of other people, whether they have special needs or not. Um, Not to be quick to act or, think certain things, but just to start walking in a different path, if you will, about other people. And then at the same time, to think about yourself, your own strengths and weaknesses, if you will, and to hopefully learn some information that will help you make progress if there is something that you might be struggling with. And I'll add a third. The most important one is to always remember that something else could be going on with the person that you simply are not aware of. And so some people work really hard to get other people to recognize and accept that they have a special need or challenge. Keep in mind that there are many people who work just as hard to conceal it and
Mm.
keep it away from people knowing about it. So that could be a coworker, it could be your boss, who knows, your next door neighbor. But again, I want both of those people to grow in awareness and knowledge. That's it.
Wow, that's deep because I do think there's, always been a stigma and it's lessened over
Mhm.
the years,
Mhm.
but there is definitely a stigma around learning disabilities or any mental health issues where
Mhm.
people would narrow it down to almost like you need to be committed or it's
Mhm.
like just oh
Mhm.
that person has mental issues rather than just at least normalizing the fact that we all have something
Mhm.
somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the things that I want to talk about at some point in time is just common labels that we use in our communications. Um, Words like crazy
Hmm.
and a number of words, but I want people to, it's okay to use words like that, but use them towards things and not people.
Mm.
And I'm going to go into that in more detail. But they're just common words that people don't even think about.
Yeah.
Um, and actually, they're using those labels to describe conditions.
Mm. Which is kind of the generalization of it can be very
Exactly.
demoralizing.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
can see that rather than
Mhm.
saying, she's reacting this way because she has a high level of anxiety.
Mhm.
They say she's acting this way because she's crazy.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
very dismissive of an
Right.
actual, oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
So who should watch?
Everyone. Absolutely everyone. As I said, even though we're talking about conditions, Even if a person doesn't have a formal diagnosis, we all have strengths and weaknesses. And I just think the more we learn about one another, the better off all are going to be.
I do agree. I mean, I think everything you've said has resonated with me in either in two ways. One in the sense that, yeah, we all have something, and I do have some things, but then also I can be more sensitive towards people who I don't understand.
Hmm.
So I think that's going to be a very huge focal point that will actually influence or help people be a little kinder to each other, because I think we've lost that.
Yeah, we could use more of
We
that.
could use a
Um,
little bit more kindness.
mhm.
But this is very exciting. I'm really looking forward to watching this show. You know, every episode. I think everything that you've touched on really impacts everyone. And do you have any words for your listeners to close out episode one?
I would just say please follow and subscribe because this is brand new and it's a new endeavor. I've put a lot of work into it. I'm going to do a lot of research because I really want to share really valuable information. It's about changing lives in a positive way. And so that's what I would say.
That's really exciting, and I'm really looking forward to
Me too.
it.
I'm Deborah Martin. Subscribe and follow for more content.